video, I'm going to take out the rest of the back seat and I'm going to turn it into storage. And the idea is to have a hinge up top, as well as to be able to access it from the sides and still have it the same height when it's all done, so that my storage platform bed can still sit on it without an issue. But right now, all that 5 inches is all wasted space, and I can't access anything with that platform bed on there. So let's see what I can come up with. So to remove the back seat, you need to take out that bolt on each side, and it's a 15mm. And then with those 2 bolts out, the seat just pops up. All you got to do is fish the seat belts through the elastic bands that are holding it in place, or the seat belts in place, and then it comes right out. So in order for this to be flat with the back section of the Jeep, I'm not going to make it necessarily level, but it needs to be level with the back section. I don't want it to end up bending somewhere in the middle, because I try to make it level with the ground. I just want a continuation from this section back here all the way out here at a straight shot, so that it's a continuation through the whole Jeep. And to do that, all I've done is take, well, straight edge, which happens to be a level, placed it with a large section of it in the back, so that the continuation would be what it needs to be in order to make it completely flat. And the space that I need to fill is about 3 1/8 inch, and so that's what I'm going to shoot for. So the nice thing about this is there's actually holes right there underneath the carpeting, and there's 2 more back there that I'm going to use as anchor points to secure whatever I use to bump this up. So what I think I'm going to do is, I've actually got this 5/8 board left over from when I moved into my house and took something apart. So I'm going to cut that down to make the platform. Now it's only 48 inches, and it's longer from the widest point than 48 inches, but the shortest point I think is like 43 or 45. So I'm only going to have it come out straight. I am going to contour it as much as it needs to be contoured to go from the 45 to 43. And then that's going to be it. I'm going to have it stick out as far as the seat originally was, because that was a good amount of space that I could use to hop in and out of the Jeep without cutting it back too far, where I wouldn't have that lip to get in and out, and it wouldn't be too far out that I'm going to lose space. But at least now I'll have all the space underneath it. So the last thing that I needed to work out was making the thickness what I needed it. I found this board laying around. This happens to be just 1/8 inch off when I add that to this. So I'm going to go with this. I don't have any more of it. I'm going to have to go to Lowe's and pick out another piece that is exactly that size, hopefully, or a little bit less would work. And all I'm going to do is, at those connection points, I'm just going to run it across. And then I'm going to drill through the top, probably put a wing net underneath and secure it that way. I'm not going to have any point that's going to be secure on this side, because it's just going to sit straight across from one end to the other, and that should keep it secure. And since that's metal underneath there, I don't think that's going to be an issue with weight or anything like that. So I'll do one here, one there, and then 2 over there, and then that's all I'm going to use as a structure. I don't think it'll move. I hope it won't, and if it does, I'll try it out a few times before I get on the road. But that's the overall idea, and now I just need to put it in place. Alright, so I got all my boards cut, and I did make sure that they were level, at least across, rather than just from here to here, so that at least the board would sit level even if it was off a little bit. And I did have to cut angles on the back here so that that would rest better, and that was a lot of just trial and error, taking it out, cutting it with the jigsaw, cutting it with the crosscut saw. This one here I had to completely modify to fit around the seatbelt harness. And for those saying, why don't you take out the seat belts, I tried and the bolts would not come loose. I got them loose, and then the more I tried to loosen them, the tighter they got. And I could watch a video on taking them out, but you know what? I don't really think I'm going to be able to use this space right here anyway, and that's where all the seat belts sit. And then these here are just going to be pulled back, and they're going to kind of be in the way, but whatever. I'm just going to deal with it rather than take them out. So now that those are in place, this sits right in here. It is a little bit lower than it needs to be in the front, but I'm going to have fabric that's going to go over it, so that's going to raise it up a little bit. So I still might lower it in the back now that I look at it now. It looks like the back portion can still be lowered a little bit. So I'll go ahead and do that, and then I'm going to secure these down and get to working on cutting out the inside panels so that I can lift it and actually access this. So what I've done is I've drilled one hole the diameter of the bolt and countersunk it to about here, just because my bolts weren't long enough to go all the way through. So, and then I drilled another hole that was a little bit larger so that this small washer and the bolt could be countersunk into it. And then on the bottom I'm putting a lock nut between the wing nut and the sheet metal piece underneath. And I've already attached one, and it seems to work out pretty well. I'm using the wing nut so that it's easy to get on and off with just a pair of pliers and a Phillips screwdriver, because that's what this is. So in order to access it from the top, I'm not sure if I'm going to put a hinge on this or if I'm just going to put a small hole in it so I can lift it up with my finger. It's not real heavy, so I might just keep it simple for now. But it sits on this middle brace here, and then it sits on the lip of the 2x4 there, and then I'm going to have to create some kind of post here and here for it to sit on so that I can kneel on it and it's not going to move on me. But I think first I'm going to go ahead and cover the whole thing in carpeting, get that done, and then figure out the rest from there. Alright, so this is the final product. I realized as I was working on this that pretty much the entire thing is going to be covered all the time. The storage box, my platform bed, needs to go on that side, and then right here, this entire area, that door, is going to be covered by that foam mattress, which I have on the side of my platform bed the entire time because it's just easier to crawl around on the back of this. It just makes it a lot more comfortable. So because of that, I decided that the juice just wasn't worth the squeeze to finish this whole thing off, because all I did was, after I finished this, I just cut around the edge and just stapled right into the face of it. It's not aesthetically the best, but like I said, I'm not going to see it. I could have technically taken this carpeting and wrapped it around the edge, and then I could have taken it and wrapped it around this edge, but then what I would have had to done is cut probably about 1/4 of an inch off the entire circumference of the board. And since I was just plunge cutting this hole out with a circular saw and not using my table saw, that would have been a huge undertaking in order to get that out and get that all cut to the right shape and everything so that it fit in there nicely. But since it's going to be covered, I decided not to do it. Rather than do handles or hinges, I just had these lanyards, and I just cut them and wrapped them around, and now I just, you know, can pull those up, and then they're not bulky in any way, so they don't protrude out of the door. But it works for what I want it. The whole thing is now accessible underneath here. I can get inside to the pockets underneath here, into the side here, and then I can even reach all the way underneath where that platform bed is going to go. And then from the other side I can actually reach all the way back because there's only this board that goes right here and then another board over there. So I can access now the entire area. It's not a ginormous space, but for the amount of space that I need to live in, it's going to make a huge difference for the types of things that I keep in there. And for stuff like extra food that I'm not going to need for weeks, I'm going to bring a bunch of MRE food, and I can just keep that in the bottom there, and stuff out of the way that I don't need to access all the time, but will be accessible when I do need to get at it. So that's it. That's what I'm going to end up with. I'm pretty happy with it. It's sturdy, it stays in place, and I'm ready to put this thing back together.